This bike is a rocket down a hill. Whoa, 40, 42, 43, 44. 44 miles an hour, almost 48 miles an hour. This thing rockets 45. Wow. This thing is a rocket. This is the Hoki White Leopard Pro step-through e-bike. And this bike has a little bit of a secret that a lot of other bikes don't have, and that is a limitless throttle. This thing can go as fast as it possibly can on the throttle. Yes, this is a class 3 e-bike, but for whatever reason, they don't put a limit on their throttle. I was able to get this bike up to 31 miles an hour throttle alone. So if you're looking for an e-bike that you don't have to worry about pedaling, this might be the bike for you. Let's go ahead and go over all the details of this bike and then take you guys out on a test ride so you guys can determine whether or not the Hoki White Leopard is a bike for you. Now, the first thing you may notice whenever you look at the White Leopard is the frame design. This is a very unique step through with a double down tube. You've got this one up here that's going to protect the battery from anything falling down on it, and then the lower one is going to hold your battery. Now, this battery is a 48 volt battery that has 20 amp hours of power. That means you're going to get an estimated range of about 80 miles. Now, the controller on this bike isn't really hidden, which is a little bit different. It is on this outside kind of seat tube here in this casing, but I think they did a really good job of tucking it away and kind of making it not noticeable. Now, that battery and controller, they are tied into a 750 watt motor. And let me tell you guys, this motor is one of the fastest 750 watt motors that I've ever been on. This thing will accelerate this bike upwards of 32 miles an hour, and it didn't have a problem doing that. Now, it's not as strong of a hill climber as some of the other brands that I've used in the 750 watt motor category, but by no means did it have any trouble getting up the hill. It's just a couple of my other bikes were just a slight bit faster getting up some of the steep hills. So with a giant battery and a powerful motor, you definitely are gonna need some type of good controls. Up top, you are gonna have a really simple control system in here with a giant plus minus button. That's gonna let you raise and lower your PAS level. That way you can go from 0 pedal assist all the way up to 5 levels of pedal assist. Now, there is a menu inside the system where you can increase the maximum speed, and let me tell you, it actually does make a difference. Now, you do get a pretty nice color display. The only downfall of this display is it is very hard to see in the sunlight. That's gonna be my biggest critique of this bike, is that there were moments in this summer sunlight that I was not able to actually see my speedometer. And that was a little bit concerning. I do wish that it could get a little bit brighter. I did change the settings inside the menu to the highest brightness that I could get, but it still was very, very difficult to see in really bright sunlight. Now, as far as the throttle goes, this does have a twist throttle instead of a thumb throttle, and the twist throttle is gonna be over here on your right side. Now, it does come with a Shimano 7-speed drivetrain, which is pretty standard across most e-bikes in this category. So you know you're gonna get quality shifting through the Shimano setup. It has a giant front chainring, which I really like to see because spinning out is not really something that is ideal. With this one, you can easily get to that 28 mile an hour speed and still have a little bit of pedaling that you can do. Now, on the rear here, you will get your 7 speeds, and it is a Shimano setup. And then you will get a tourney derailleur made by Shimano. So if you ever do have to make an adjustment on this, being that it's Shimano, or if you ever have to replace any parts, these things are all easy to do and easy to find. Now, looking up front, you do get these hydraulic disc brakes made by a brand that I haven't ever heard of. It's Samir's, but I've got to say, these brakes bite really, really well. I have no hesitation with these brakes at all. They are probably the best hydraulic brakes that I've used on an e-bike in this class. Now, a couple other features that I really do like is that it does have fenders. These are plastic fenders, so if you do a lot of gravel riding, they are a lot quieter than a metal fender. They're not as high quality as a metal fender, so if you're riding on the road a lot, metal fenders are a little bit nicer, a little bit more durable. But if you do gravel riding at all, plastic fenders are the way to go because they don't make a lot of noise. They also have this massive rear rack on the back, and it can hold upwards of about 55 pounds. The only downfall of this rack is that these tubes are really thick. I'm not a big fan of racks that have too thick of tubes because most pannier bags won't fit on them, but they did supply this little kind of rod right here on both sides so you can clip a pannier bag to. I just wish they put a hook down here so you could actually lock the bottom of the pannier bags on. One other feature that I kind of wish that they didn't include, but it seems like it's actually a benefit, is this suspension seat. To me, it doesn't work all that well. It's either down or it pops back up on you. On something like this, if it's not going to be the higher end quality, I would rather them just skip on this. The seat on this is relatively comfortable. It's pretty standard for a bike of this price. Now this does come with 26-inch tires that are going to be 4 inches wide. These things are just a pretty standard fat tire bike. But one thing that I want to point out that I really do like on any of these style of bikes is whenever you get tires that have this reflective line that goes all the way around the tire, whenever you ride at night, this bike literally glows. You can tell as a car coming down the road that this is actually a bike. So not only can people see you from the front and the back with the built-in lights, they can also see you with these nice reflective sidewalls. Now this does come with a 3-amp charger that has a built-in fan inside the charger, which is really nice because it keeps that nice and cool. And you should be able to charge this battery in an estimated 3 to 4 hours. Now Hokie says this bike is designed for somebody that is 5'3" to 6'6". So I can say from my experience, all the way down to 5'3", being the shortest member of my family, up to 5'11", we all fit on this bike really well. Now one other thing that's super important on this bike is the price. This price on this bike is really, really good. At $13.99, you are gonna get a lot for your money on this bike with the massive battery, the powerful motor, and all of the additional features. This bike seems to be at a very competitive price. All right, now that we know a little bit more about the Hokie White Leopard Pro, let's go ahead and take this thing out for a spin and see how it performs. I want to do a max speed test, a hill test, and then just a general cruising around test. Let's go ahead and let's do it. Well, we're gonna crank this thing up and we are going to get some tests going here. I'm on PAS 4 right now and it's hitting 24 miles an hour. Now I've got the limit set on the speedometer to right around 28 to 29 miles an hour. I'll probably change that here mid-ride just to see what it can do. Let's crank it up to PAS 5. Now this is all throttle. So if you are an all throttle kind of e-bike rider, this one is probably gonna be the bike that you're gonna wanna get. Because I'm just cruising along, no pedaling whatsoever. And I absolutely love it. Now if you see this mirror right here, this is something that I add to all my e-bikes. They're super cheap, like $10 to $15 for 2 mirrors, and they work really, really well. I'll put a link below if you guys are interested in those. But yeah, we're cruising 26 miles an hour, no problem whatsoever on the throttle, and makes this bike super, super easy. Now let's switch over to the pedaling. And of course I am ghost pedaling at this point. But look at this. This thing is still pulling and I'm ghost pedaling because of the cadence sensor. And I am hitting 30 to 31 miles an hour easy on this bike. All right, here we go. We are at the bottom of the hill that I always test all my e-bikes on. We're gonna put it in PAS 5 and we're going to pedal up this hill and see exactly how good this thing does. Let's get a little kickstart with the throttle and no more pedaling or no more throttle and now just pedaling. So this starts out at an easy 2 to 3% grade, quickly ramps up to around 12%. And I can already tell you, I'm gonna have to switch down. Now, like I was saying earlier, this bike doesn't seem to climb super, super well. It's got a really fast top speed on slow ground or flat ground, but on steep stuff like this, about 15% right now, getting ready to hit the 19% grade. I'm in gear number 4. switching down to 3. A little bit of shifting issues. There we go. Now I'm in the easiest gear, and I am going 10 miles an hour up this hill, but it's not the easiest. It is doing it, 19% grade. Haven't dropped below 10, so that's a good sign. But it's definitely not the fastest up this hill. It is really good for flat terrain. And there we go, made it to the top. And whoo, that was a little bit of a workout. And here's our downhill test, and holy crap, this bike is a rocket down a hill. Whoa, 40, 42, 43, 44. 44 miles an hour, almost 48 miles an hour. This thing rockets. 45. Wow. This thing is a rocket. It just took me up and over that little incline and just shot down the hill. It was not messing around. All right, so some of my favorite things about this bike, obviously the battery and the motor. I love 750 watt e-bikes for cruising around. The battery, 20 amp hours, is so nice to have. The range anxiety just goes away whenever you have a big battery. And of course, these brakes are the bomb. I have never heard of this brand, but man, these things brake so well. I really love the fact that the throttle is limitless. For $13.99, I think Hoki did a pretty good job. All right, there you go. That is the Hoki White Leopard Pro. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want to pick one of these up, I'm going to put some links below that you can use. And hopefully if you do pick one of these up, you enjoy it as much as I did. But if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button. But as always, we'll see you guys in the next one.